As events are spiraling out of control in the world, most people have no clue what is happening around us. More and more wars, crime is out of control, inflation is rampant, and it looks like governments are controlling us more and more. If you are an American citizen or legal immigrant, you have a social security number. That is a must if you want to buy or sell in our nation. In other nations they are called person number, and they function the same as our social security number. If you want to purchase a home, there is a government form to fill out and it demands your social security number. If you want to purchase an automobile, the same requirement, even if you pay cash. You cannot open a bank account, get a credit card, etc. without your social security number. To hold a job in the US, you must have a social security number. When a person dies, a death certificate cannot be issued without a social security number. It is obvious that we are heading into a total control society. How far will it go and how much is going to be regulated? A message from Jesus. Some 2,000 years ago, a man by the name of John, one of the 12 apostles, were taken up into heaven and had a personal meeting with the resurrected, glorified Jesus. At a time when men on earth had never heard about electricity, credit cards, internet banking, airplanes and automobiles, John was given a description of a time on earth in the future that became known as the tribulation. During this time period, all nations in the world had become a world federation under the leader of a man that Jesus called the Beast, and he is also known as the Antichrist. Jesus told John that this man was going to be a Jew, the people bringing him to power would be Jews, attending the synagogue of Satan, and that he would rule out of Jerusalem, where a new temple had been erected. John was told to write down what he had seen, and it became known as the Book of Revelation and became part of the Bible. Our world now. Up to around 1950, people did not understand how a government could control the population through commerce. Without a mark of the dictator, no one could buy or sell. When the idea of credit cards came out after World War II, banks began to introduce credit cards, and when we went to purchase gasoline, the clerk would have a small device that he would place the card in, and then place some carbon paper slip over it, and then running a device over the card that imprinted the number on the slip. The slip was sent to a bank and manually processed, and in due time the bank would send a monthly bill to the customer to be paid with a check. In time the card had a magnetic strip on the back of it, and now the service station would run it through an electronic reader that would send the transaction to the bank. In time this became obsolete and was replaced with a credit card with a chip in it, which made the transaction even faster and more efficient. There was no more need for clerks at the bank to handle a transaction, it was all done electronically without human hands. In the country of Sweden there is a private firm that has gone one step further, putting the chip under the skin of the right hand and totally eliminate all credit cards. By waving his hand under a scanner, a person can now buy and sell without cash or checks. There are tens of thousands of people in Sweden who have purchased the chip and had it placed under their skin. They are bragging how easy life has become, no need for a driver's license, passports or any identification, it's all in the chip. What Jesus told the Apostle John. John lived in a world where the Roman Empire occupied all land around the Mediterranean Sea. Since man had not yet discovered electricity, all communication was done via couriers, who would travel on land or via a sailing ship. Thus, an order given by the emperor in Rome could take up to a month before it arrived at the destination it was sent to. If there was a battle in Egypt, it would be weeks before the news arrived in Rome. With this as a backdrop, look how Jesus spoke to John. In the future there will be no more nations, but all nations will be merged into a world federation that will be ruled by a dictator who will receive his power from Satan. There will be a false prophet that will have the capacity to have fire fall from the air. He will also have power to control all financial transaction on earth, so that no man could sell or buy without having the mark of the dictator in his right hand or in the forehead. The dictator will also persecute all Christians. Jesus did not try to explain to John about computers, the internet, electronic banking, scanners, surveillance cameras, etc. He only stated that this is the way it is to be done, and there was no technical information given. With the discovery of electricity in the 17th century there was a rapid development, and during World War II, and with electric motors and the combustion engine, the war was fought on land, sea and in the air. From the crashed UFO in 1947, man was given the knowledge of computer chips, optic fiber and the transistor, which led to the rapid expansion to where we are in 2024. The technology is here for the description of a world dictator, who will have the power to register every human being, and with the mark of his name in the hands of people chip, the control is complete, since it ties in banking and location of every human being on the planet. The missing factor: there are still nations on the earth, and that makes it impossible for a world federation to come into existence. This leads us to the Jewish people, since Jesus told John that the World Federation would be created by Jewish people. This leads us to the Messianic movement in Judaism, that rejected Jesus as the Messiah and insist that the Messiah has not yet come, but that they are working on it. This leads us to the Kabbalah, which is a set of some 500 books. In the Kabbalah is the theological teaching for the World Federation. This now leads us to Zionism, which is the practical development, how the land of Palestine can be controlled by Jews. This leads us to the Protocol of the Elders of Zion, where in 1897 the political platform was crafted to implement the destruction of all Gentile governments and to force them to give up their sovereignty and submit to the Jewish world dictator, that the Jesus called the beast and that the apostles referred to him as the Antichrist or the son of perdition. The last step to the World Federation. We are now seeing the final destruction of the United States and the nations in Europe. Since Jesus stated that there will be a World Federation, as Christians we cannot stop that. But we can slow it down, and we can educate people to what is happening and make sure that as many people as possible can be saved before the curtain goes down.